plain and simple, these players have way too much say. Whether it's with the ref, it's with the PPA. I don't know. I'm not a fan of like all the antics and all the commotion and like players like trying to flex to refs. Like, it's just sad. It's sad. Don't be a bully. You should just be happy to be on the tour. And I don't know. Somebody's got to put their freaking foot down though, because it's just sad to watch. And even from like a spectator standpoint, like to see pro players like bully refs like that, like I don't know. So I mean, they open their mouth, they have way too much to say, and they go directly at the ref, and nobody's saying anything. Like no PPA officials coming out saying, hey, like you got to watch what you're saying. They just let it happen. I mean, it's a freaking free for all. No rules. It's a free for all. Players have a lot to say, right? What's going on? My name is Tyson McGuffin. Welcome to the McGuffin Show. We are back. Got my crew here with me. It's a beautiful day. We have not blasted an episode for a couple weeks. Was going to do one after North Carolina, but way too much going on. Children, businesses. Bought a brand new Escalade, which has been super sweet, even though my wife never lets me drive that thing. Dun, dun, dun. We got this brand new 2023 Escalade, waited 15 months for it, and I haven't even sniffed it. I can't even look at it.
I have to get it.
She said, get your ass out of that.
Boundaries. She's setting those boundaries early. This is my car, Tyson.
No, actually, we're taking it to get it like fully coated inside and out, like ceramic coated on the outside and the inside interior.
The car is gonna, the Escalade is gonna thump. It's gonna thump. We're ordering new rims, and we're gonna tint front windows out and just murder that thing and make it look bad.
Pimp my ride.
Remember that? Pimp my ride.
That show was good.
Come on, remember that? Pimp my ride.
MTV.
Oh, yeah.
MTV.
Little throwback.
Little throwback.
Maybe that ages me. Me a little bit, but I remember that Pimp my ride.
Hey, Kyle, when I was 15, I was on TRL. So if that makes you feel
okay, all right.
That's why I had to marry her.
I heard that before.
Oh yeah.
Claim to fame.
TRL.
All right, so it's topics we're going to be chatting about here. North Carolina, Loong's got a podcast. Who doesn't have a podcast these days? Get off of my train. Leigh Waters, 86-2. For gosh sakes, does the girl ever lose? Big difference between Passion and Chipring, a company I've been working with called Wild Health. We'll talk about ATL. Lakers got swept. Paddle testing seems to be working. No Man's Land Pickleball doesn't think so. K-Mac, you've taught a couple camps recently.
Yeah, been doing my thing, traveling, a little bit of commentating, and yeah, just got back in last night. The voice is just a little scratchy, but I'm gonna power through.
Hey, if you can make it after a 2-day camp and your voice is still there, it is a win.
It's still there.
It is a win.
It's true. That's how I measure success. Can I talk the next day? Then I'm feeling good about it.
It's too funny. Hey, tell me about one of the campers. Tell me about that lower level court, and we kind of have some fun with it. But just some of the things that we get or that get pushed in our way during camps. Love all the campers, but sometimes there's just a little bit of pushback. And it seems like it's always with a similar group, correct, K-Mac?
Yeah, it's there's a type, that's for sure.
There's a type.
I think we always stress, the camps, like we'll say, don't beat the camp. You're not here to beat the camp. We don't really care what court you move up or move down to. It's just all about learning, getting better in education. But there's some competitive people out there. It seems like every single camp, there's always a couple of people, almost always somebody at the bottom couple of courts, that feels like they should be playing up a little bit higher. They don't like who they're playing with. And it was kind of funny this last camp because the bottom court, we had a beginner, but she got better, very, very quickly, dramatically. But we had some of the other kind of lower level players all individually come up to myself or Andre kind of complaining about each other that they were better than the other people on their court. So then it's like, well, what do you do?
Sounds like my wife.
Shift people around. You shift people around when they all think they're the ones that want to move up. And so it just gets a little bit dicey. And, we have to, again, just be that reminder that,
be that reminder.
Well, I will have to say, too.
With the hard truth. But every now and then you have to push back because, if you focus so much on making one person, that squeaky wheel, happy, then it comes at the cost of
then you lose a couple more
other people. No, you lose more. And so to bring a lower level person that thinks they're a little better than they are into the drilling group of the intermediates or the higher, now you're bothering the 3 other people on that court just to make that one person happy. So I normally try to work with people the first time I get a complaint, try to shift them around if I can make it work. But if they're continuing to come at me, you've been in this situation. Sometimes you just have to put your foot down, and if they don't have a great experience, it's obviously not ideal, but you've got to worry about the integrity of the entire camp.
So true.
And it's, one of the toughest things we do.
And for, campers out there listening, or people that are maybe encouraged to take a camp that are listening, you don't get special treatment by KMAC or I, or at least when you take a TM camp or you take a KMAC camp, you're not getting special treatment if you're on courts 1 and 2. We could care less. Doesn't matter if you're on court 9 or court 2. Everybody gets the same treatment, 8-to-1 ratio. We generally have an assistant, on 2 courts watching 8 people. We usually have the lead roaming around, kind of taking a look at all courts. So do know that you're not getting special treatment because you've beat the camp or you're picking on Sally in order to get to court 1 just to prove to K-Mac and I that you're the guy. We don't care. Long-term progression.
I would say also whatever level you are coming in, you kind of have to when you're drilling and practicing and even feeding balls, it doesn't matter if you're a 4-0 player or a 3-5 player. It doesn't mean you know how to feed balls or you can do drills effectively.
Hey, everybody can teach pickleball.
So, I'm saying you come in with your friends and kind of you expect to be on their court because maybe you guys rec play together, but maybe in a drill setting or a learning setting, you might go up or down. Certain people at different strengths. I know how many camps have I been in. I guess I've been in a couple where I've said, "Put me down, put me down a court."
K-Mac, tell me, does she listen? Does she listen during group discussion, or is she usually on her phone? Come on.
Well, so I would say the last one, she was definitely, checking up on some emails. But other times, I feel like she's been listening.
Anytime you're talking, she's listening. Me, hell no.
I'm running business over here.
Well, she's been leveled up or upgraded about 15 times now taking the camp.
She's been McGuffin numerous times, both on the court and off the court.
And I'm still a 3-5.
Oh, too funny. Anyhow, if you guys want to sign up for a camp of KMAC, or if you want to come to one of my camps, you can go to TysonMcGuffin.com, check out that camps tab, get yourself signed up for a camp today. Kyle, when's the next one you're teaching here, buddy?
San Clemente.
San Clemente. I believe we have 24.
Right after the,
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, right after the PPA. It's a PPA partnered camp. So right after the tournament, you can play the tournament and then stick around for the Monday, Tuesday right after in early June. I think it's around the 8th or 9th.
Love it. Get your full PPA experience. Come to the tournament, play the tournament, get to watch the pros play, and get K-Macked on that Monday, Tuesday. And walk home and either drive home or fly home Tuesday night with a lot of nuggets in your pocket and being a happy person.
Or stay and watch MLP, right? The very next week.
Come on. 2 weeks. That's it. Spend some money, okay? Spend some money.
It's summer. Kids are out of school. Make a vacation out of it.
San Clemente is just a complete dump that time of year.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Weather sucks. The town's way too big. No, I'm just kidding. I love San Clemente. I would take San Clemente over Palm Springs. I would take San Clemente over Newport. Small town feel, weather sick.
Sure.
I'm excited.
If you want to get crazy, you can stay with our guy. What's his name?
Rodell?
Rodell. If you want to get crazy, stay on Rodell's couch.
Parties on the beach.
Parties on the beach, right? Live music.
I've missed out on every San Clemente trip, so I am cashing in on this one. I'm coming.
Yeah. Tyson and I got after it on the beach last time.
We did.
Getting our dance on.
We did.
I don't know, we probably looked ridiculous, but we were having a good time.
Right.
Tons of food.
And I will never do something like that again on a Saturday night before a championship Sunday.
Yeah,
I think K-Mac can vouch. I was definitely just a touch hungover. Okay.
Apparently, I'm a bad influence.
Oh no!
Jeez,
Yeah. My wife knows that is definitely not true. I tend to mow people down and do a little dictating.
Right.
Stop doing that. Okay.
Hence why I'm coming.
Stop doing that. Okay, North Carolina. It's a little late. We ended up flying in on that Sunday, Monday. Doesn't really matter. Didn't have the children. Even though I love my kids, it is beautiful. flying first class without my children. Ended up, got there, got some practicing with Jack throughout the week, practiced with Colin Schick, who is just a stellar dude. I mean, super bright guy. I think he's going to medical school right now. Played at North Carolina State, really good tennis player. His brother also plays at North Carolina State. Apparently his brother is a better tennis player than he is, and was ranked pretty high on the ITF circuit. And his brother has played pickleball, and Colin told me his brother's a stud. And how many ringers are out? And I mean, obviously they're starting to sprinkle in, but Colin's first tournament, won qualies at Daytona, made it through, ended up making the finals. Colin's good, but he said his brother may even be better. And so I think, the next year or so,
sleeper.
Hopefully my singles days will still be relevant. But anyhow, I think there's just a new level of athlete coming in the game that's a little younger. And I think there's a lot of ringers out there that are just starting to make their way in, and the sport, as we all know, changing at a rapid rate. TV deals, brand deals, better athletes coming to the game. The female side's starting to get a lot more stacked as well, which is great to see. And let's talk about Jack Sock. Obviously, we had a terrible showing in men's. Not going to talk about that. All good. But Jack, the guy, plays his first PPA tournament. Granted, he plays with the AL. Who is by far the biggest goat in the game, over Ben and over anybody else.
She's the most dominant.
Yeah, most dominant. And anyhow, what he was able to do in mixed, the athleticism that he showed, how big a court he was able to take, that little inside out disguise dink half speed up is stupid. How many socks or how many ankles got broken with guys trying to cheat middle, and Jack would do like a little no look and go inside out with it. And then not only would he do that, but he would point and be like, I'm going over there. The guy was chirping the whole time. It's too funny. He was chirping the whole time.
He had a little swag. He had a little swag.
Something I asked Donald Young this last weekend during the Atlanta Pro Exhibition was, I asked Donald if that's who Jack was when he played tennis, and Donald said exactly that's who Jack was when he played tennis. Some guys respected him, some didn't. It was kind of funny because, the whole James Ignatowicz thing, and James lost first round in singles, and he was going to play Jack the next round, and he lost to some no-name who, no disrespect to that guy, sorry, don't know your name, and I don't believe he's done a whole lot, but James loses 2-1, and then Jack ends up beating the hell out of this guy. That was a little suspect. Love James. Don't know what happened there. But specifically in that mixed match, talking about how everybody and their grandkid has a podcast right now. Anna has a podcast with Dylan through the kitchen. James has a podcast through Soccer TV. Guess what? Both Anna and James, who I've got a lot of respect for, have been talking a lot of trash about Sam Querrey. And something that I respect about the tennis guys and the tennis industry is that if you talk about my boy, I'm gonna chirp back, baby. So that whole match, Sock was just down Anna's throat, down James's throat, using his eyes. And after the match, I'm like, bro, that was kind of a little much. And he's like, that was for Sam. So they've been.
You're 100% right though. I mean, I watched that match, just from home, but I was glued to the screen, and I've watched Anna Bright play a lot, and I have a lot of respect for what she brings to the table, not just talent, but just as a competitor.
Right.
And he was cross court, speeding up. He was stepping back, going cross court, and just blasting it at her. And you could tell, she got kind of, punched in the mouth a little bit, where she lost that look in her eyes a little bit, where she normally has that fire.
Right.
She didn't quite know what to do. And so just shows, when we talk about the level of athlete, the level of power, the hand speed, if you can just take a neutral dink, speed it up consistently cross court and win, it's tough to solve for that equation
for sure,
and how to handle that. So this is the first time I'd seen her kind of lose a little bit of that fire, not a knock against her. I just think she didn't know what she could do in that moment with the aggression.
Right. Tell me, what surprised you the most about Jack in mix? The athleticism, the serve and the drive, the hands, if there's one thing that kind of stood out.
I think, composure in general, because I'm going to be honest, and I don't want to knock on this or take anything away from him. I do think that the mixed teams that played against him, there was one match in particular, I thought they really did a poor strategy. They were afraid of his drive from the baseline, so they were intentionally trying to like bring him in and volley short and bring him to the kitchen. I think that was a big mistake.
Make him work in transition. It made him,
well, yeah, he didn't have to play in transition. And how many like off his back foot transition lobs would he play?
Yeah, no, it's a little bailout in that area for sure.
Yeah, just because he's not used to being there, and his athleticism would bail himself out. So I was impressed at how much variety he had with the forehand, how people weren't making him really hit the backhand dink much. Obviously, having Leigh as his partner, clogging the middle with the two-handed backhand, it allows him to run around. But just the composure in general, I think that he found a way to not really need to grind too much, and he really dictated the tempo, and I thought that was the difference. I knew he had the hands, I knew he had the athleticism, but first tournament, everybody's gunning for you. Composure. I was just impressed that he didn't really have those heavy dips in his game for very long, and he quickly bounced back.
Yeah. Guy's got game, and I think he obviously he's going to finish out the year playing tennis, but I think come 2024 he may be playing some pickle. As with DY, Donald Young was talking to Donald in Atlanta. Really, I don't believe Donald is playing professionally anymore. Don't quote me on that. But he's teaching a little tennis, and in that exhibition, his grip is a little extreme. Still kind of on that semi-Western side, so he needs to probably move his grip around a little bit. But I think he's another guy that could definitely make a splash and perform very well. So, North Carolina, it is beautiful. I'll tell you what, green, lush. We ended up staying with a guy. What's his name again? Todd Moore. Todd and Simona. Todd's a good dude. You know what's crazy is that North Carolina, we ended up staying in Davidson, which is where Steph Curry went to school at. Small little suburb right outside of Charlotte. Yep. And we stayed actually like a block from Jack. Jack lives in this little country club, and we stayed at one of his neighbor's house, and Jack took care of us. And anyhow, super nice host family. Appreciate those guys. Super gracious host family. Made us feel at home. I had my birthday when we were there. We had a couple other things, and they were so nice to like celebrate. Got to meet their sweet little daughter, and then also the mom. She used to play professional tennis. She played professional tennis, and then they also she's from Slovakia. Yep, and they also have a pickleball brand, PB Pro. So you have to check it out. Yep.
Okay, diving into the business side of pickle.
Yeah, and then
it's crazy how many paddle manufacturers
have distribution in Dick's Sporting Goods. So yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, check them out.
It's a nice little head start there with that connection.
For sure. Come on, paddle margin. Make a paddle for $200. How much does it cost? Granted, different materials and all that. Brand marketing and pro. So let's say marketing, admin, some of the expenses, and to build a paddle, $50. Maybe. It's good money.
Yeah, I think if you add all that up, because I think to make them, I don't know. Obviously it depends on some factors, but $15-$20, I think. Maybe a lot of times. Newer
materials maybe are more expensive.
Yeah,
than they used to.
I know. I ended up taking silver in singles. Lost to Fetty in the finals. Kudos to Fetty. He played well. I probably brought like a B- game. That's not quite good enough. One thing I am going to talk about in that match is the freaking camera angles on the challenge. It's got to be better. Literally, it's like there's like a 9-year-old kid in the van looking at different camera angles. It just doesn't add up. Prime example. It's 7-6 game one. I strike 3 winners in a row. I'm starting to get hot. The serve's getting a little bigger. At 7-6, I stripe a little inside in up the line, say come on. I thought the ball was spot on. Mama's standing right on it. Granted, very biased. There's a little group of like 5 people there's a little group of 5 people that's kind of cheering for me next to my wife. They all thought it was good. Anyhow, the camera angle that they showed, somebody had like a replay or somebody like screen recorded it from their TV and put it on socials. Like the bird's eye view was on the other side of the court, and they were trying to show like the line call on the other side where like the camera's on this side and the ball landed on that side. Anyhow, it's like if I'm gonna challenge, like show an angle that's on that side of the court. Like how can you look through the net and try to tell if a ball is in or not? Anyhow, I thought it was in. Federico even gave me the ball back.
Yeah.
He thought it was in.
I know.
Come to find out it was out. And I'm like, there's no way.
Well,
I'm not going to blame the match on that. But
no.
He ended up rallying 4 points in a row, got to 11-7, blasted me in game 2, and that's all she wrote.
Well, our crew on our side, we saw it, but then there was a whole crew on the other side that clearly was not cheering.
They can't see her. I mean, honestly, like and I mean, prime example. Love came back, and William came back, and I can still laugh about this. But and it was stupid of me, and I've never done that. Never done it again because nobody should ever ask the ref to call a ball on the other side of the line.
Right.
Just like the camera angle. I'm playing K-Mac at Simone's tournament back in 2018. K-Mac ends up beating Jay and beating somebody else, making a good run. You know, testosterone's high, and anyhow, I didn't see the ball. I asked the ref. It was on the other side of the court. The ref stupidly said, "I think it was out." K-Mac,
no.
you know, is a man of integrity. Man of integrity doesn't like the word "think."
Not my finest moment.
No. I should have never asked. I should have just given you.
But a ref should never.
One more point.
A ref should never say think.
No.
No.
Sure.
Just don't say anything. Just say no. Say I didn't.
Right.
See a thing,
Well, and that's why I lost it. Is I was tripping at the ref. I go, based on your phrasing, there's no way you can make that call. If you said I think, you can't even jump in there and overrule it. And honestly, I didn't know it was a back corner, but not my finest hour.
I wonder what it would take to just put isn't it in tennis? And I know obviously tennis is like years and years and years ahead of pickle, but don't they have cameras? I know they have that program too, but can you just put a camera on every line? Wouldn't that be the simplest solution?
No, I think for sure, and I don't know if I should be saying this, but I will say this. I heard from a very, very credible source recently that Hawkeye is probably going to be coming pretty soon for pickleball.
Sweet.
Hawkeye's coming. Hawkeye's coming. I don't know exact timeline.
That's
oh
pretty
my
soon.
gosh, that's going to save so much.
Yeah, for
This is
sure.
going to save so much time.
I think so.
Yeah.
How much time is that going to take?
With betting coming in, those
You
line
have to.
calls.
Yeah,
become a
no,
bigger
for sure.
deal. So
Yeah.
I think that had something to do with invest in making sure the calls are right.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see a match decided by a really bad call in the heat of the moment. So pretty darn sure Hawkeye is coming.
So if there's
soon.
Hawkeye, will there still be challenges? Like in tennis, is there challenges?
Baby. So
No,
when
it'll just be that.
No,
Okay.
sweetie.
Got it.
When you challenge, they use Hawkeye system.
Got it. But isn't in tennis, don't they automatically use Hawkeye? Like as you're watching it, it automatically shows it. Nobody says anything. It just, you can see it, right? They replay Hawkeye immediately.
Right. I don't know if it's gonna,
See what I'm saying?
No.
What
Came actually saying like whether they call it in or not, if it's closed, they'll just show Hawkeye on the screen.
Like you guys as commentators, can use it.
I think they show it for us, but
probably not for the players.
When I watch tennis. I think in tennis, I believe that you have to choose still to challenge.
Yeah, right. It doesn't make sense to show it.
That.
Right. Well, in
just for the spectator though, right? Like watching from home, sometimes they flash it on the screen.
Yeah, but
right?
I don't think
Okay.
they don't show that on the monitors because the player would just challenge right away.
Can the ref, like the chair
maybe not.
person, can they see it in tennis?
What do you mean?
Sorry, can they see that?
They can.
Okay.
Yeah, they got the screen
They see
in
the
front of them.
Hawkeye. Oh, they see that
because they're like.
Right, they
controlling
can see
the whole
it.
match.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I just think that saves a lot of time.
Right. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, well, that's even this last tournament in Atlanta, like the few challenges that they had, like I was in the booth for one of them. It took forever.
It takes forever
to finally get through, and like that throws off the whole rhythm tempo of the match. Like you can lose momentum. And honestly, to your point, Tyson, the camera angles just don't seem to be there because there were several calls that looked like they were slightly the wrong call, and they just didn't seem to have enough to overturn it anyway.
Right.
So they stuck with the few calls that to me in real time looked like they were maybe the wrong call. So it just doesn't seem to be fully there to be making the right call just yet. But I think that's coming.
I think that prolonged, lengthy challenge that you're talking about was when I challenged the ball playing against Lolo and Julian, and I didn't. So it was on my sideline. We're all at the kitchen line. Lolo dinks up the line.
Right.
I should have earned. Shame on me. I thought it was out. The ref didn't see it. I wasn't sure. I asked the ref, and the ref said he didn't see it. And then I kind of walked back a little bit. And Julian and Lolo thought that I called it in. When I walked back to the baseline, I was asking Catherine if I should challenge it. I turned back and I said, I'm going to challenge. Lolo and Julian thought, and it's in, I'm pretty sure it's in the rules, if you call it in, you can't switch your call and then challenge it, right? It's silly. So why it took so long? Why it took so long is because they had to hatch that out first. Did I say it was in? Is it a legal challenge? Yes, it was a legal challenge because I never called it in. Correct.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah. So anyhow,
they clued us into that as well. Yeah, that you're allowed to challenge it because you didn't make a call.
And then
so by deferring to the ref, they're making the out call, and then you challenged their out call, I guess is how it works.
The crazy thing, too, is that literally that ball was like a foot away from me. And I clearly saw it was in the blue. There was no white. I freaking lost the challenge. I'm like, I swear, I'm like 0 for 2 the last 2 weeks. Usually I'm spot on, but I'm like, who is looking at these lines? I don't get it.
It's funny though, because you're usually so generous that like while people are watching you, I don't know how many times like they're like, oh my gosh, that was out, or oh my god, that was in, or whatever. But so I feel like you usually play with not slim margin either.
So tough. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Okay, moving on here. Mix, Catherine and I ended up losing a tight 1-2. We ended up beating Dylan and Lolo in a tight 3-gamer. Also beat Lolo and Julian this last week in a tight 3-gamer. I feel like Catherine and I are definitely starting to figure it out. Took second in Daytona. Took second in Daytona, took fifth in St. George, took second in Newport with Lacey, North Carolina took third, Atlanta took third. So I would say we are definitely a top 3 team right now. Would love to get over the hump. Lost to Rye, in a couple tough ones the last couple weeks, but we ended up losing to Elise and Rye. Rye played very, very well. As we all know, the guy's a straight dog. We actually had 2 game points. In game 2, we're up like 11-10. I had a freaking sitter on top of the net with my name on it. I did the old, bake off your own shake, drove at Elise, came in, had a sitter, hits the top of the tape, rolls out, and anyhow, they ended up winning the game 2, 12-14. We ended up dropping down and played Vivian David and Julian, who just lost a tough 3-gamer to AL and Jack, and we beat them in 2 pretty handily. And this is the beauty of sports, right? So play that match. No disrespect to Vivian or to Julian at all, because I love those 2, but I was playing so well, I literally felt like I could close one eye and we could still win that match. The very next day, Jack and I, right? Jack and I played some qualifiers, couple local guys that Jack practices with. Jack and I happened to play one of the guys early on in the week, got some practicing with him. I probably didn't respect who we were playing. Why? Because I personally didn't think they were a great team. And on top of that, I was just playing so well. And it just comes to show. We ended up losing 5-2 in 10 minutes, and then we're done for the day. It literally comes to show that you have to respect everybody, and it doesn't matter at all how you played the day before. Every day is a brand new day, and anything can happen. And that is the beauty of sports. And it's funny how 12 hours earlier, I was seeing the ball like the size of a freaking watermelon. Couldn't miss. I literally felt like I could close my eyes that match and win that match. Wake up the next day, and literally I'm like a brand new man.
Doesn't it speak to beauty too? Though we talked about this, like. It is a completely, maybe I shouldn't say, like before it was maybe slightly similar, but I think now, like just with the level of talent and the level of play and strategy and all of that. Like, it is a completely different event.
First and second rounds are tough now.
Mixed is a completely different game than men's now. You know what I mean?
Comes to show, like Jack, that uncalculated blind aggression in mixed does not work in men's, right? And something
not nearly as much.
And not to cut you off, Sweetie, but something I've been telling my wife is that, like, why I'm playing so well in mixed is because it's like a slice of singles, as we've talked about before. But in men's, it's a lot more calculated, and I personally feel like the last couple of weeks, like, I'm doing way too much in men's. I need to get back to my ways, get back to Old Faithful, freaking not miss, grind, make people come through me, and like respect who's in front of me, but do it in a way where, like, I'm not going to miss a ball and I'm going to burn your tank. And that's how I've won in men's for the longest time. And I feel like now I'm just trying to speed a little too much, do a little too much with my fourth. And, anyhow, I need to get back to my old ways of just grindy TM, baby.
Yep. And it's a quick switch.
Give nothing away.
Give nothing away. And just take a more calculated approach. Stay in the point. Trust James. And I told James, I said, hey, like, do your thing on the left. I'm going to clean my stuff up on the right. James doesn't want to play the right. And he says he does, but I know deep down, James wants to play the left, which is all good. I've had plenty of success on the right. I need to do my thing on the right. This last week, I was not sharp, so I got to be better. And, another example too, like, play well and mixed on Friday. Actually, sorry. We ended up, since it rained, we ended up playing our, bronze medal match of mixed in Atlanta on Saturday morning, and ended up playing Dylan and Callie. Played super well on that same championship court. 2 hours later, played like crap against Jay and Andre, and then we ended up losing in 3. So, story of my life the last couple of weeks.
Again, I think it's too fast of a switch. Like, how do you? I don't know, Kyle. Maybe you have a opinion on it, but how do you flip the switch that quickly? From, like, you just played a mixed match and now you're playing
it's just tactics. Yeah,
so you just got to switch your mindset.
Yeah, it's just tactics. Right. I mean, right, K-Mac,
yeah, well, I think for you, Tyson, right now it's probably even a more dramatic switch for most, because, like, you're usually playing the left, right? And mixed with Catherine, you're taking more court, you're moving that much more, you're looking to be aggressive, looking to drive early and just keep that up tempo a lot of times, because that's your best, advantage. But then you go in men's, and then now you're playing the other side. Like you said, your identity is, grinding people out, putting a lot of balls in play. When mentally you're used to that faster tempo, or you're trying to do a little bit more, it takes a little bit of an adjustment to be like, okay, I got to calibrate here and work the point a little bit longer.
Right. Anyhow, James and I are going to find it come next week. I'm calling it out right now. We are going to be top 3, and we're going to get our first medal.
Get it.
Let's go, Jimmy. Papa Jimmy. Let's see. We ended up going to New York directly after North Carolina. Went there for a Skechers event. Took wifey shopping. Got her a new bag. Ate some good food. Yeah. Any city we're in, we're gonna eat.
We eat our way.
We're gonna eat our way through everything, and my wife is gonna drink her way through everything.
I will do both.
Bum bum bum.
Sign me up.
Whether it's on the plane, it's at a restaurant. Sign her up. Okay.
So were you guys in like Manhattan or?
So we're in Times Square. We're in Central Park.
We stayed in Central Park. Right.
Okay.
The Thompson.
Killer.
Oh, the Thompson Hotel was really cool. They just totally re-renovated it, and they have a place in there called the Burger Joint, and apparently it was like before like Five Guys, before like all these different burger type restaurants. It was like one of the originals in New York. It still stayed there even though the hotel's been sold.
The OG.
It's been sold and redone and all this stuff. They've
bomb.
left the Burger Joint the same, and it is so cool. It's like behind this red curtain. The burgers are amazing, and there used to be like a line around the building for it. So check it out for sure. Like a little hidden gem.
New York is just insane, bro. Just so gives me so much anxiety. So many people, skyscrapers all over.
It's a different
and just like life. Downtown.
Driving is.
I didn't do any driving. No, not worth it.
There's some people that live in New York that are like in their 40s and they've never driven a car before.
Right.
Like, I mean, that blows my mind. I told Tyson this too. I was like, it's a whole different planet, right? It's like you have to have a whole different mindset to live there, to commute, to get around. I mean, just everything about it. I love it because it's just like a total step out of your world for a few days. But I mean,
no, for sure.
I think it's definitely, it's fun.
But ended up teaching Skechers, or I guess ended up teaching a clinic, kind of sponsored by Skechers. There was a bunch of media outlets or journalists that were in the area that came to the clinic, and we're hoping to get some media promo from that. But the cool thing is that I'm going to give a shout out to City Pickle. Is a facility smack dab in the middle of Central Park, skyscrapers in the back, music playing. They have 13 courts. It's actually an ice rink that they turn into pickleball courts, a couple months out of the year. And they had a couple teaching pros there. It was super busy. And the crazy thing is that guess how much it came at? Guess how much it cost per hour to rent a court?
Guess.
Take a guess.
Just throw a number. Throw a number, Kyle.
It's pretty pricey. So it's to how much per hour?
How much per hour to rent a court in Central Park?
How much?
Is it like 120?
I think it's 125.
Yeah.
125.
Yeah,
Okay,
and then if you want a
close.
cabana, because you can get a little cabana.
Yeah, people there's cabanas. You can bring alcohol.
Another $100 an hour, I think.
Maybe you can.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But
they've got the VIP.
Hey, you do what you want.
Here's my opinion on it. Like, if you're gonna go out and do something with your friends, or like go to a movie or go do whatever, like you're gonna spend $25 each anyway. So if you want to go down and have the experience and be in Central Park and do it up bougie, then like it's not that much.
Okay.
If you're doing it every day, that might be a problem.
Right. No, for sure. I mean, but like anything, it's real estate, right? You're paying for real estate. The real estate there is going to be way more expensive than other parts of the country. So you've got to accept the fact that you're going to pay a bit more, in Central Park. I get it.
For sure.
Shout out to Skechers, though. Great event. They totally took care of us throughout the week. Hospitality, lodging, food was all good. Ended up going to dinner with the whole crew. My agents, James and Josh, were there as well. Megan and I ended up getting like a private invitation to Marquee, which is a nightclub on that Wednesday night. Had a little fun. Also big shout out to DeZeco. He's a DJ based out of Vancouver, BC. He got his tickets last minute, and then also too he got us a reservation at this yummy restaurant called Catch.
Gosh, so good.
And I know K-Mac likes his fish. Don't know if K-Mac likes truffle. I would assume he does, but they have.
I do. Guilty.
Sign me up. So they had this truffle sashimi, a bunch of different fish in this truffle sauce. I could have just like jumped in that bowl and swam around in there. It was so good.
It was so funny because we got a reservation at 10. I think that was like it was posted.
Yeah, she kept bugging me. She's
no.
Online, I swear, I love my wife. K-Mac, tell her not to worry anymore. From morning till night, she loves to worry.
I'm a prepper. I make everything go. I gotta schedule things because if it doesn't roll, it doesn't roll. No, but our reservation was at 10. I think that online it said it closed at 10:30.
I told you multiple times.
I used to work in the service industry, so I'm like, oh shoot, I feel bad showing up at 10 and then they're gonna close at 10:30, right? So funny. We get there at 10. It's like the place is just getting going. Like it must be all the private dining happens after 10, like invite only. But that place roared up like after we got there, and so we were so confused.
And everybody in there. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as looks, was like a 9 or a 10.
It
was crazy.
Like everybody there was probably going to Marquee after, for sure. But it was quite the crowd. It was fun.
You found the in crowd.
Well, we found it. But I'm such a weenie, and my wife knows this. I'm usually in bed by 8 or 9. So in order for us to go out, Daddy over here has to get a nap in, right? I told her, I'm like, hey, give me a couple hours of shut eye. I won't complain tonight. I'll go out till past midnight. But you have to let me take a nap, right? And so she went shopping. And it's so funny. She, before she goes shopping, she's like, I can't go shopping by myself. Like I'm downtown New York. I'm like, sweetie, stop.
I didn't say that.
Okay, let me nap. You go shopping.
No more. I was worried about the timeline. I only had like an hour and a half to.
She had 3 hours.
Ladies out there, you find out the same day that you're
Don't
going
let
out,
her fib.
You didn't have anything to wear. Then you're going out. You're trying to find like a upscale outfit within an hour and a half before I had like hair and makeup coming. And that was the funny part because you wanted to nap. So, but I said, okay, someone's going to come do my hair because I'm going to shop to the last minute, right? Someone's going to come do my hair and makeup. So hair and makeup came. He's still napping.
I'm passed out.
I'm like, you have to get up. These ladies are going to come in here and they're going to see you just passed out. Please get up. It was too funny.
I don't know, Tyson. I think you broke the husband code. I think the standard is you put your tail between your legs and you go shopping with the wife.
Kyle,
make sure she feels good about the outfit.
He knows.
I've been there, man. I've been there. It's rough. You don't want to do it, but it's written. It's written
tell
in
him,
the code
Kyle.
somewhere.
Tell him.
You tell them how great they look. Give them a couple of choices. Get that confidence high. You got to build them up a little bit.
My one major thing with any outfit that she wears out is, she just, she's got to show a little, we paid for them, you got to show them off a little bit, right? That's all I ask. I'm a very simple guy. Okay, Mac, I'm simple.
Hey, but one thing, if you don't go shopping with them, you definitely do not criticize their outfit. If you didn't go shopping and you didn't help, you better be all compliments.
She knows. I'm picky, stubborn. Don't take me shopping.
Next time, consult with Kyle. He'll point you in the right direction.
Right. Okay, on to the next topic here. Loong has a podcast called King of the Court. What a stud! I'll tell you what. I swear, Loong and Leigh, I believe now are best friends, I'm going to leave it at that. But something that, K-Mac, if you get a chance, listen to that podcast. I'll kid you not. He is going after people. He is completely going after people. Nah, he's on like episode 4. Hey, he's on like episode 4. I've listened.
He's just calling people out left and right.
He's pointing the finger, and that's kind of how Loong is. He's pretty bold, and it's funny because he's very reserved, but when it comes to social media, he's very loud.
He's arrogant. I mean, he's a quiet arrogant, and that probably comes out when he has to open up his mouth.
Yeah, it's very true. Anyhow, so I mean, honestly, this is brilliant. So Loong on his first pod, basically Braverman, Jill Braverman now has a podcast as well. And Braverman, talked about playing with Loong in Newport, and basically Braverman said, as plenty of partners that Loong has played with, nothing against Loong, and right, Loong's open about it. Anyhow, he's a tough dude to play for, right? Or he's a tough dude to play with.
That's what I've heard.
Rolling the eyes. I mean, kind of like a Riley. Like you're gonna have a rash around your neck just from them staring at you, right? And Braverman basically said, Loong eye rolled, and he's tough to play with, and yada yada yada. So Loong, and it's so sad. Like they're just talking trash about each other on their podcast, right? Right. I mean, honestly, just complete banter. And then Loong on his podcast, Shots Fired, said he would rather be known as an eye roller versus a cheater. Bang! Oh yeah! I'm telling you, bro is not playing. He's not playing.
You know what? I don't know if I can interject this
Come on, bring us some heat.
Something that I took away from the tennis community, because obviously, we saw with all the comments and all the things and obviously you kind of indicated with Jack, defending Sam. It kind of seems like there's a little more camaraderie, and I don't know if that happened over time or what. In tennis, but sure. It seems like these guys all play each other, right? They all compete against each other, but for the most part, it feels like 80% of them, they all have each other's back. They're all there for the same thing. They're all there trying to accomplish the same goal, and so they only build each other up, I guess, or speak positively. Maybe little things here and there, but it's so funny. I don't know where this took a turn in pickleball, but I feel like most of the stuff out there right now is just controversy and trash talking and who's got the better drama. I don't know.
Clout chasers. And honestly, I mean, not going to call the PPA out, but I think the PPA likes all that. They like that fettuccine being stirred around and add in some chicken. Okay, I kid you not. Go ahead, K-Mac.
No, I don't want to interrupt you, but I mean, I know we were going to talk a little bit about, chirping. We're seeing chirping happen a little bit more, and kind of just a couple potential theories as to why that is the case, Meg, is, one with the tennis players, they're playing internationally, right? So the guys that are friends are often the American ones, right? Because there's relatability there. They kind of have each other's backs a little bit because they're not always playing against each other tournament, match in, match out after every tournament. So I think they kind of stick together, just like the Spanish and the Russian people kind of just stay closer to home, at least at first. I think that makes sense. Also, just with pickleball, like the court's smaller, right? And it's more intimate. So like you're right closer to each other with these fast hand battles. Like it's a little bit more like basketball proximity of it at times, right? Which basketball, the NBA, these guys are running their mouths, certainly a lot more. So I think that there's just a few differences between pickleball and maybe some other racket sports where I'll admit like chirping and like has never been like my main thing. Like at first I kind of looked down on it, but to be honest, like it might just be here to stay with like the direction that pickleball is going to go. Especially
of course,
for
faster.
Sure. Yeah,
for sure. So, it's just. I guess I get it. Gonna go anywhere?
No, for sure. I guess I get it as an on-court thing. Like I have learned a big lesson in how people are on the court is they can be completely different people off court. Like you can't judge anybody for how they, and there's certain ways you should and shouldn't behave. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but I just think it's funny now how this is kind of like grown outside of the court, like into these podcasts, into these things, where it's kind of spilling over.
Well, and just trying to be loud, like on social media, right? Versus saying it to your face.
Right. No, for sure. Totally different on court versus recapping it for sure. But I think the other thing that's different too is, and maybe I'm a little off here, but it seems like tennis doubles, the points are, they're pretty quick. Like you're not crowding your partner as much. Whereas pickleball, like a lot of times if you feel you're the stronger player, you're trying to take a little bit more court. And I think guys like Loong and Riley, I think they just have such a clear vision on what winning looks like to them as far as strategy and shot selection. So I think that when players play a shot here or there or speed up in their minds maybe a little too quickly or at the wrong times, it's just very tough for them and maybe more of that perfectionist personality a little bit. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I see a little bit.
Yeah. And something that Jack told me, because I spent that whole week in North Carolina practicing with Jack and spent some time together, and we're talking about just some of the players that are trying to get clout by calling other players out on Twitter and social media and stuff like that, and he said like the one thing that's cool about, and like my wife touched on this, one thing that's cool about the tennis circuit is that there's mutual respect. Like they all have the same common goal, like they're all fighting for ranking points and money and fame and all the above, but at the end of the day, like they're all in the grind together, so there has to be respect there, right?
Sure. No, for sure.
And, I don't know, something that I know now is like expect the expected, like expect things out of DJ, expect things out of Jack, expect lots of stuff out of Riley, expect lots of stuff out of Matt Wright. Like, whether it's life, it's on the court, expect the expected. Life is a hell of a lot easier when you freaking know what's coming at you versus being delusional and thinking it's not. Like, people freaking don't change. And if they do change, it's minor, I feel like, right? And anyhow, like the whole Riley thing, Riley definitely, he was chirping at Catherine and I. He was chirping at AL in the finals. He has said some pretty negative things to Colin Johns as well on the court. Like that's like, I'm not going to disrespect Rye. Like that's who Rye is. If that's what like pumps his ego, if that's what keeps him going, if that's what fires him up, kudos to him. Like, and something I was telling Athena, after that match that Catherine and I lost was that Riley's like, if he loses game 1, you better damn know game 2 and 3, he's going to dog you. And the way he dogs he's going to get in K-Mac's face, he's going to get in my face, he's going to chirp, he's going to say a lot. That's what keeps him going. It's what fires him up. And just like what K-Mac had mentioned, like basketball, football, there's plenty of that, And like the whole thing with DJ, right? Like, there's been lots of talk about that. And I could care less about guys chirping on the court, but just like don't be talking during the point. Like that should never happen. Like it's one thing for Rye after the point saying, don't go to the middle, or like, I have my line covered, so don't go there. That's fine, right? Like if that fuels him, great. But like when you're in a point and you say never, it's like somebody hits a volley and like the point's still going and like DJ didn't put the ball away, it's just like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think a way to differentiate, tennis and pickle is, adding in DJ Selkirk, adding in some of the antics. If people want to talk trash, that's fine. If the crowd wants to get a little loud, that's fine. Make it different from tennis, but just like have the decency and have the sportsmanship not to talk during a point. Right.
I feel like the referee needs to probably look for
the refs are getting ran over. Right? I mean, I had a freaking. Go ahead.
Tough, but like that's a hindrance, right? I mean, that's got to be a total hindrance if you're talking as you're countering. I mean, yeah, they've got to step up and I think call that out and set the parameters of okay, you guys can chirp a little bit between the points, but if you're talking during a point, if it's not player or partner communication. Yeah. You got to lose a point for
bro. Talking about the refs, the refs have zero say. The players are just dictating. Prime example: playing Brendan Loong, right? First round in mixed. Brendan played qualies with Bobby Oshiri. They ended up making it through qualies. Yep. So he had the same ref in a qualies match and his first round match against us. That ref called him for like a footfall on his serve in qualies. And then called him for a footfall in our match, and it was like 2-1. Brendan throws his arms down, and he's like, "I want a new ref. I want a new ref." And anyhow, it's just I swear, the refs just bend over, and the refs had zero say, and it's bad. Another example, Irina Tereshchenko. Not gonna say a whole lot here, but she is known to either be up Sam Flaxman's or she's known to freaking climb up a ref's and she ends up living there for a long time. I kid you not. And something that happened this last weekend in Atlanta, I'm playing her in mixed. We're gonna play on a grandstand court, and with the way that they situate courts behind championship court, they have the bleachers and stuff, and anyhow there was a banner right there that kind of separated championship court and the two grandstand courts, but there was a big beam, a big pole back behind the curtain. Anyhow, she didn't want to play there. She made a big stink. She said she's not going to play on that court. Plain and simple, these players have way too much say. Whether it's with the ref, it's with the PPA. I don't know. I'm not a fan of all the antics and all the commotion and players trying to flex to refs. It's just sad. It's sad. Don't be a bully. You should just be happy to be on the tour. And I don't know. Right. Somebody's got to put their freaking foot down though, because it's just sad to watch. And even from a spectator standpoint, to see pro players bully refs like that, I don't know. So I could say a lot about Pablo and Federico as well. Same thing. They open their mouth, they have way too much to say, and they go directly at the ref, and nobody's saying anything. No PPA officials coming out saying, "Hey, you got to watch what you're saying." They just let it happen. It's a freaking free for all. No rules. It's a free for all. The players have a lot to say, right?
Yeah.
That's spot on. Yeah, no, for sure. I think for a while, I would say until very recently, I think the players. They're still the product, right? But I think that a year or so ago, the top players really had a lot of say, a lot of leverage, because, pro pickleball needed those names, needed that talent to really exist. I think it's getting to the point where, an isolated player here or there doesn't determine, pickleball's future. So I think the players need to realize that, pickleball's not going anywhere. It's going to be around long after they're gone. And so I think that's going to hopefully shift a little bit and empower the referees to be able to be I don't care what you've done as a player. I'm the authority figure here. And we've all probably said something to a ref or acted a certain way in the heat of the moment. I know I have. That's something I regret. But for players where it's a pattern, where they're consistently just beating down, the refs, I think there needs to be some action there. Right.
And I think too, this maybe
Sam Flaxman, poor guy,
is the wrong thing to say.
It's so funny. I've seen it multiple times. Sam, he's doing 20 things at once. He needs a lot more help around him. And there's always one particular player that is just always riding him. Literally, this does not leave that man alone. Sam, love you.
Poor guy.
But Sam, put your foot down. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I think that it's a fine line, because I think with refs too, I think maybe to combat that a little bit, you see a few refs here and there that are very much involved, maybe more involved than, you know what I mean? And I don't know if that's to combat some of that, like, too much player involvement, but sometimes you see refs that are like, you don't want to call them heroes, but essentially that are kind of like not controlling the match, but like have a little too much say. And I guess I always thought of reffing and refs too as like guiding the game, but also, you know, there was a sign at Nationals one year and it said, the best ref is the ref that nobody remembers. And the truth of it was just that, like, you know what I mean? They're doing their job. The game's going as it's going. The players are doing what they should be doing. And there is no controversy there, which I know it's easier said than done. But I don't know. That was my takeaway from that. Because I think it can go both ways. But I think maybe we're seeing that because the refs are getting fed up. And they are kind of taking a stance. And maybe they do have an opinion or they see things that they don't really, you know what I'm saying? I guess I'm just saying it's a balance.
Right.
Well, not that I'm a ref or, an expert by any means, but I think you're absolutely right. I think the best way that they can handle themselves is when they see behavior start to get, out of line just a little bit. I think nip it in the bud early, because if you allow it to wear on you over and over again, you're only human. You might have an emotional reaction, and that's not what you want from a referee either.
Right, for sure. Okay, AL 86-2. Lost one match in singles, lost one match in mixed, 28-0 in women's. The girl's good. The girl is good, and not only is she good, like, she does what she wants out there. She'll speed up, or she'll hit a third ball, fifth ball, seventh ball drive. She'll come in, she'll speed up first ball off the bounce. She'll add in the lob. I mean, creativity at its finest, baby. Like, I mean, granted, it's women's doubles, so she's probably allowed to play a bit more free in that sense. But I mean, even in mixed, like, nose are rolling mixed. Yep. Grinds all day on the right, doesn't miss, lets Ben do his thing. She earnings well on the right. She can beat the guy head to head. She poaches well off of Ben's drop or Ben's drive. She can speed. I mean, and probably one of the sneakier speed ups is when she's on the right and you hit a dink towards her inside foot. She'll take a two-y. She'll go up the line with it. And then if the guy dinks back, she'll even run around her forehand, take the two-y, and then pull it line for like a little inside-in speed up, if you want to call it that, and then Ben kind of sits middle. Anyhow, the girl's good. And not only that, I mean, her in singles hits the crap out of the serve. I mean, there's so much pop off of her paddle. Hits the crap out of the serve, gets good depth on her approach, gets good depth on her return. And I mean, granted, Catherine got bullied by Riley for the last two games, and then 20 minutes later gets thrown right back out there to play singles.
Sure.
And loses 1-0, and Catherine was probably 40%. No disrespect to AL at all, but with how she just ran through Catherine and then ran through Mary, I don't see her going anywhere anytime soon. She's staying right there, and I would assume only more brand endorsements, only more prize money made, and the girl's good.
What's crazy too is Catherine's the one person who has beaten her this year and has pushed her on some other occasions, but it just shows when the whole arsenal is working. Scary. Like, it's demoralizing. And, I'm just thinking as you were talking, can you think of a male player who has a better offensive arsenal? I'm not saying that Anna Leigh would be better than all the male players, because there's some other intangibles to look at. But when I'm thinking about the ability to find offense that often, calculated offense from really every location on the court, with her two-handed backhand and her forehand, the ability to speed up out of the air, off the bounce, I don't know if I can think of someone with a better offensive package, male or female.
Yeah, no, so true. So true. So interesting. Let's see here. Big difference between passion and chirping. So, there's just a little buzz on social media right now about, my passion compared to players chirping. I feel like I always have my boxer, I have my wife, I have K-Mac, Craig, whoever. But, I like to show passion. I like to be intense. I like to flex. But I do it at who? I do it directly at my box. Right. There's nobody else I'm looking at. Yep. I'm not chirping. I'm either looking at the crowd or I'm looking at my little supportive crew. And I don't know. I just think there's a big difference between passion and like non-etiquette, or passion and chirping without much etiquette. But I don't know.
Different ways to do it for sure. I think
Yeah, there's no wrong or right way.
There's no wrong
if people
right
want
way,
it, and like I said, if you want to chirp, do it all. It's all good. I am not disrespecting people chirping. If that's a good way to fire you up, great. I just simply don't like when there's talk during points. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think that was like, it's so funny because you get the keyboard warriors, right? And like, I think that was one thing that you said, like, not my style, but you do what you want to do. You know what I mean? And so, like, I think you were doing an interview and you talk about many players. I think Hayden is one. I think Christian is one where you said, yeah, love to chirp, love to flex. Not my style. I do it at the crowd. I do it at my box. But no disrespect to those guys. That's their way of doing it. That's their whatever.
All good.
So it's the full conversation. Don't hop on it saying, oh, yeah, Tyson thinks that, what Hayden does is bad or whatever. No, absolutely not. It's just not your style. It's just not how you choose to play. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It just is saying, like, yeah, funny they do that. That's the way they do it. It's just not your style. So.
Also, too, I think, like, you come from, like, I guess you come from wrestling. Like, wrestling, like, there's so much, like, respect for your craft, for how much work you put in, for the people around you. And I think coming from that space, like, I'm never one to, or I wasn't growing up that way, even though I had 6 older brothers that kind of gave me a hard time. Like, I that's never fired me up, chirping back or like talking trash and stuff like that. So I think that really comes from a place in my heart where my dad installed it in me at a very young age, with just showing respect and just the whole wrestling community. That's the main, I guess, selling point, is that you're all in it for the same thing. You're all like, you show each other like respect because of how much work and how much time and effort goes into perfecting your craft. And anyhow, just never been a fan of the other side of it.
No, for sure. And so I think you guys are being very diplomatic, and I think you're absolutely correct. It's not right or wrong, but I do think, like, when you let out a loud celebration, a come on, if you're puffing your chest out right at your opponent and staring them down versus turning to your partner and saying, come on, it's a different message, right? One is saying, like, hey, I'm directing this right at you, like, don't come again. Whereas the other type of passion is basically just saying, I'm excited in the moment that we won the point and I'm feeling good. So again, not right or wrong, but it's definitely a different message. And I think people should understand, and I'm trying to think of anybody else who would be like you. I think you're kind of unique in this way, Tyson, because you're very animated, in your interviews, you'll give a lot of personality. You're not like, a Ben or JW or Dylan, where they're just more stoic the whole time, where they're not giving as much of that passion or outwardly giving that passion, but you don't really engage in the trash talk. And I think that people don't realize that, because you give so much personality, in the interviews and whatnot, that even when they are chirping at you, you don't really send the message back. And, I'm a different style. When somebody comes at me with it, like, it does affect me, not necessarily right or wrong or good or bad, but I will give it back.
The fires came back up.
My personality. I don't think I'm as secure as you. I'm insecure enough. I feel the need. I need to give it back to you. I feel like they're gaining an edge on me if I give it back. Right. But no, just different personalities, and you got to be yourself out there.
Yeah. Let your plan do the talking. I linked up with a company recently starting in January, and I am a brand ambassador. This company is called Wild Health. Kind of cool. I would say right now I am the fittest, the strongest, the most educated, and probably the most secure that I've been with myself. And I greatly give a lot of credit to Wild Health and kind of what they've done for me. Anyhow, Wild Health, super, super cool. DNA genetic-based testing. So they send you a little kit, you do a saliva swab, you take a blood sample, you send it back in, and based off of your DNA, they prescribe you the right diet, they prescribe you the right exercise program, they prescribe you the right sleep, supplements, anything you want to be as dialed as you can as an athlete. All the professional sporting teams are doing it, NFL, MLB, NHL, everybody, right? So I started working with this company in January. I work with their therapist, I work with their doctors, I work with their nutritionist. They send me all the supplements. So my overall diet, the way I'm taking care of my body. I mean, I think even before Wild Health, like, I was taking care of my body. I thought I was pretty educated with nutrition and recovery and all that good stuff. But they've definitely showed me, there's a lot more in that space. And it's kind of cool. Something that they told me off the bat, and this is what kind of hit home, was when I guess when I got all my testing back, it was like the end of March. And during that time in March, February, I was very hurt, tore the plantar fascia tendon in my foot, tendinosis in my elbow, tendinosis in my hip. And anyhow, so a lot of my stuff was all tendon related. Also had torn the labrum in my hip. But a lot of my stuff was tendon related. Wild Health told me that I was low in protein and high in carbs. And maybe, some of the reason why I was getting hurt was because my nutrition wasn't right and I wasn't taking the right supplements. So they told me basically per body weight, have 1 pound of protein. So I'm weighing like 185 to 190 right now. Definitely have gained probably 10 to 15 pounds the last 3 months. But it's all because I've been lifting heavier and I've been taking in 200 grams of protein a day. And I can't tell you how much eating I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of eating, but it's mainly protein. And something that I've noticed is like my tendons in my body and just recovery, inflammation, sleep has been so much better just by taking in a higher dose of protein. And anyhow, K-Mac, didn't know if you knew this, but a 12-ounce steak is equivalent to 100 grams of protein. So I've been trying to do like a steak a day. I'm doing 2 protein shakes in the morning. Taking collagen peptides, amino acid. They have me taking these beef liver tablets that's rich in protein. Get some beef liver in your life. Come on, right? Get some beef liver in there. A bunch of vitamin C, vitamin D, magnesium. Anyhow, they got me dialed. Yeah, more than dialed. It's kind of a pain in the ass because anytime we fly now, there's vitamins all over.
I have to pack so much stuff.
She does.
My God.
But you got your pills all set up.
No,
but
it's great though.
I personally feel like right now, like I am peaking body wise, like haven't felt this strong counter. I think K-Mac noticed like this last weekend in Atlanta, like the counter's much heavier. I used to weigh like 170. Now I'm pushing like 185, 190. Been eating like a machine. Craig's got me in the gym, doing a bunch of yoga. Talk to my therapist once a week to get me dialed. And honestly, it's been so nice having resources and having good people around me.
Well, and what's so cool about this, which I think is crazy, like it's such a detailed program, obviously, like from the athlete side, and like it's been game changing for you. But what's so cool is it's accessible to the everyday consumer. So like you can go on Wild Health website right now. I can go on, send in, they'll send me the kit. I can meet with someone. They go over my whole life, the way, what activities I do, what would best benefit me. They look at all my results, and then they can custom tailor things for me. So it's cool that something that's like been such game changing for a professional athlete. It's cool that like the everyday consumer can access it.
And
so
big shout out to Ben Greenfield. Ben Greenfield got me in the back door. Ben's a health and wellness guy based out of Spokane. Probably one of the smarter biohacker, probably one of the smarter health and wellness guys worldwide.
All about your
guy's
body.
A freaking machine, straight machine. And he introduced me to Wild Health, and I don't know. The doctors are great. They know me super well. They're even watching my matches now. Talk to my guy Ben each week, and anyhow, just I have never had help like that around me, nor have I ever let or thought that I needed a therapist. And it's funny how just putting down the guard, letting people in, it's kind of opened my eyes, and I'd feel like if you're too stubborn, then you stop learning. And I don't know, something recently that I've just been doing is just letting people in, and I feel like I'm getting more educated. I know more about myself, and I have more tools to work with, so it's only beneficial. But
it's so true.
Just trusting people that are experts in their field.
Right, so true.
We all know, only a small percentage of everything. We might be experts in one area, but put that trust into others when it's not your main thing, and you'll pay. It'll work out.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how much that's taken off my plate. Like versus like being so stubborn and trying to do it myself, and then like putting all the pressure on myself. Like now I'm playing for something much bigger like the monkey's off my back. I'm playing for my kids. I'm playing for my wife. I'm playing for Craig. I'm playing for my whole team at Wild Health. People watching me. I have my PT. Like, just letting people like that in. I don't feel like I have to do it for myself now. And I felt like for the longest time, that's what I did. And that causes a lot of anxiety.
And I've said this for a long time. How much have we, well, we all know, like, you've been number one probably when it comes to recovery. Recovery has been your number one thing. We've focused on recovery, spend a lot in recovery. We've learned about recovery science. We have a lot of tools in that category. So preemptively, it totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. You got to take care of your body, but you also have to take care of your mental aspect. And if you're going to spend on, your recovery and that sort of thing, like, we should be doing things preemptively, and we should also dive into the mental side, because how much of the game is mental, especially as an athlete. Yeah. And now that like you said, you're leaning on all these other people, we're using everybody at their strengths, and now you can focus on your craft. So it's only a beneficial thing all the way around. Yeah,
for sure. It was kind of cool. I was talking to my therapist today, and was just asking him, how, and we've talked about this plenty, but how do you get to a certain level on the court, or how do you sustain that level? Like, what are some of the key words? What's the temperament? What's the energy like? And I don't know, something that he's been reminding me is if my dad was still here, and I've always been such a daddy's boy, what would he tell me? What are some things when I was a kid that fired me up? And so, being able to bring back some of those memories, I kid you not, it's been freaking eye opening. It totally has. And there's nothing more inspiring than my dad was my guy, and was a total daddy's boy. And to just think back on some of that stuff, and if my dad was here, what would he tell me? Obviously he doesn't know pickleball, but just from trying to motivate me, what are some of the key words? And so I think all that stuff is healthy. But.
Well, I think you tapped into it, right? Tyson is playing for more than yourself, right? And where the person that you are now wasn't all credit to you. There's a lot of people that have loved you over the years, that have shaped you and put you in this position. So just reminding yourself that, it's bigger than just yourself at this point, with the team around you, with the supporting cast. I think that gives more of an internal motivation, which you need to tap into with a long season and 3 events and that much travel. I mean, it can be physically, emotionally exhausting. So to be able to tap into that, I think, is definitely the right mindset to try to latch onto.
For sure. K-Mac, what was your biggest takeaway from Atlanta?
There's not a lot of errors, anymore. I mean, especially at the highest levels of the game. And there's not a lot of just gimmies or, dinks that are missed anymore. And so I just think, obviously, the game's getting more aggressive. But that being said, it's getting deeper, especially in singles, for
how big was that qualies draw in singles?
I mean, it was
70.
98
total.
Total people.
Oh, okay.
Over 70 in the qualies.
Yeah.
For you, Ben, and Fed to all lose before
top 3 guys go down.
I mean, that is unheard of traditionally, and it's credit to all the athletes coming in that are putting in the work. I mean, guys like Connor, that's been talented for a while, but you could see all the work that he's put into really sharpening his game and being able to push you guys, for Christian Alshon to beat Ben, huge upset, and then not even make the final because he loses to JW, and JW hasn't had, maybe the type of singles year that he would want or expect. He's still more than capable if he puts it all together in one tournament, like we just saw with him walking away with the gold. So getting a little tougher to predict even some of these mid to early round matchups in singles especially, but in doubles, it's just the top teams give very little away. Right. And so more of a need for strategy and kind of playing to your strengths to be able to push these top teams.
Did you watch the mixed final with Rye and AL kind of going at it?
I did, in and out, but I watched most of it for sure.
Okay. Did you see anything particular? Was it just general chirping?
No. And Riley's been, I think, this year, he's always chirped a little, right? You've played with him for a long time. Yeah. It seems like he's chirping more and more. And I think he's doing it because, quite honestly, it's been somewhat effective, right? He's getting in the heads of people. It's affecting their shot selection every time he kind of slams it down their throat and says that's the no-go zone, or that's never going to be open. But Anna Leigh's an exception, not just because of her personality, but because her game, like we talked about in mix, when Riley's covering 70-80% of the court, she can exploit him overreaching just a little bit, regardless of his hand speed.
Right.
She can attack with enough of an arsenal, enough variety that I don't think chirping against her is probably going to be the right play. Because I agree with her. I think it fires her up, and she can exploit that kind of over coverage that's so effective against a lot of people.
Right.
Not to discredit Riley, but do you think it has anything to do with his mixed situation is a little unsettled, and so he's kind of compensating more with the chirping when it comes to his mixed game, to kind of use that as another part of his, I don't know. I feel like I see, and I could be totally wrong, I feel like I see more chirping in a mixed situation than in a doubles. I think he does plenty in doubles, but I think
little pride there for AB dropping him.
There might be just
regardless. The guy's a dog. He's the most competitive person I've ever met in my life. Like you got to give him credit for that. Like,
no, for sure.
I don't care how he wins. I don't care how he wins. The guy is a freaking straight savage, right? It's true. But. So ATL
all rolling. It's tough to slow down.
Oh, for sure, totally. ATL Lifetime facility, probably one of the better lifetime facilities that I've been to. Even though there's no sauna, hot tub, dang it. But
bougie.
But the backdrop, like championship court, those gigantic trees in the back. I don't know how many tennis courts there are.
So beautiful.
USTA has a little partnership with that Lifetime facility. It's massive. And then like driving in, like the trees are growing over each other. The parking there was just insane. It was complete chaos.
Especially on the weekend. You couldn't find a spot.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. So one of the parking attendants, it was Friday morning. So he was just getting chewed up and getting bullied. And anyhow, it took us like 45 minutes to go in. We're like stuck in line. Anyhow, we get to the front of the line. Come to find out, pro parking is full. Don't know how that happens. And so he's telling me that I have to like go to a church, and I'm like, no, bro. Like I'll gladly just pay the Twinkie. I'll pay the $20. Just put me in that lot. And actually, I asked him if I could be in the lower lot. He looks at me and he's like, sir, those are for my members. They pay $170 a month. And he's like, you cannot park there. And I took one look at him and I said, bro, chill out. Like you need to like pump the brakes.
He was just
pump the brakes. Like I know your job is difficult, but like don't come at me like that. And I almost said, you're here because of me. I'm just kidding.
No, stop.
I'm just kidding. Anyhow, bro, the guy was like, he was on one and just completely hot. And we ended up talking it over. It was all good. The very next day that I pulled up, he was super nice, like shook my hand. It's like, bro, I'm so sorry. I had like the worst day yesterday.
Hey, don't beat up the parking attendants. Right. Don't beat up the refs, and don't beat up the parking attendants.
Right. No, same thing happened to us, with being, commentators. We're supposed to have special parking. And we might have talked to him around the same time, because on one of the days he was really amped up. He's like, no, that's impossible. It's full. There's nothing we can do. And you just tell he was having a tough time with people trying to bully him a bit.
Right.
$20 of parking space? That's pretty hefty.
We had to fork it over too.
Make sure you bring your 20s.
Alshon beats Ben in singles. Kutzmeyer chugs beer and pukes. AL Triple Crown. Bronze with Catherine. Top 3 seeds in singles go down. Brasha breakout in singles and doubles. Her and Maggie had a match point against Vivian and Georgia to go to the finals.
Yeah, no, that would have been huge. I thought I heard they had a couple of them, but they're right there. And then I called her semi against Leigh, and Leigh played a really good match. Like Leigh was composed, she was problem solving out there, and Mary Brasha's shot making was just next level in that semi. She really earned her spot and really took it to Leigh Jansen, who's no joke in singles in her own right. And she didn't play Anna Leigh Waters extremely close in the final 5-4, but I mean, honestly, with what we've been talking about with Anna Leigh's dominance, it wasn't a bad showing in my book in the finals either. She's just ran into the GOAT, who's fully in form right now. So
Alshon, dude, so this guy, walking around chest out, he kind of funny. So Kutzmeyer, this is coming from Jake Kutzmeyer. By the way, have you seen Kutzmeyer's twin?
Oh yeah, he's yoked.
Both guys. No, anytime I see those guys, I say, hey, how much protein a day? How much?
No, plenty.
How
you gotta
much?
Up your steak. You gotta up your steak.
Those guys are yoked, bro.
Get on their level.
Yoked.
Get on their level.
Anyhow, so going into the match, Jake and his yoked brother, and who's the big tall guy that came here and stayed? Not Scarpa, but his buddy Greg, who just can't stop running his mouth. Greg, they told me like before the match, they were like, bro, like make sure you're watching because if Jake wins, he's gonna chug a beer like you. And I didn't watch the match, but anyhow, so Jake ends up winning. Greg is drinking an IPA. Now I could smash an IPA. I have
don't recommend it.
I have had plenty down the hatch, but someone like a Jake who isn't known to be much of a drinker, he should probably go with like a Miller latte. Shout out to Miller, or he should go with like an ultra, but just something light, right? You know, below 5% alcohol and something light. Anyhow, slams the IPA, damn near takes his pants off, and then goes and pukes in the corner. and pukes in the corner on the court. Stays on the court. Doesn't even leave. Literally 5 seconds after he chugs it took him 30 seconds to chug the IPA. It literally took him forever, right? They have this video and he's chugging it, and then no longer than about 7 seconds later, bam, he's in the corner, spraying chunks everywhere.
Oh, stop.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Hey, by the way, I have more sponsorship money coming in.
Oh, stop.
Can you grant me this match? I mean, come on. I mean,
you'd have been joking.
It's a simple. Hey, it's a very simple ask.
There's no way he's being serious.
Come on.
You know, he's just trying to be logical out there.
You know,
right? Play the numbers.
Oh my Lord. Okay, Pro Lounge, complete banter fest. There's so much nonsense that goes on in the Pro Lounge. Pros are throwing stuff everywhere, leaving food everywhere. I mean, that Pro Lounge in Atlanta smelled like a middle school locker room, and did not smell well. Stuff is left everywhere. Trash is being talked, right? It's funny. Just you know, nothing is safe in that Pro Lounge.
I stay out.
Nothing is safe.
I stay out. I think there's actually a handful of pros now that we just kind of create our own space outside of the Pro Lounge.
Yeah.
Just to avoid it, especially on game day. That's a lot. That's a lot to take in. If you're just there spectating one thing, maybe coaching, whatever, but that's a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic.
It seems like that's what I've noticed. That there's some pros that go to the lounge. There's other groups of pros that kind of congregate in kind of almost like their own lounge, or they kind of get like their own little area as I've been kind of roaming. So it definitely seems like there's little cliques among the pro players. Would you agree with that, Tyson?
I would definitely agree with that. Yes.
And okay. I think though, like one little tip, maybe I should share it with Sam. Tidbit. But I think that the Pro Lounge should be open air, if at all possible. Like there was one in Utah.
Smells lovely.
And no. It was like a cave in there. Like it was like really dark.
Hey,
and it was almost fully enclosed. And so it was just super intimidating walking in there. Like it was just a little, I don't know.
It's too dark.
A little dark and not a lot of airflow. So
it's like prison, all these intimidating pros are chirping at you as you walk through.
Yeah, no, not a good scenario.
This one over here does not like controversy, that's for sure.
No, leave me out of it.
She's not a fan.
Leave me out. Everybody just needs to get along. Like, just get along. Play. Everybody's there for the same reason.
Okay.
Act how you want in the court. Save it for the court.
Lakers get swept. It's too bad. I was hoping the Lakers were going to make one last push, and I think I don't know. It sounds like Braun. This could be his last year. So, in order to get him the real title, it's going to happen in San Clemente. Braun, don't worry. Even though you didn't win the NBA Finals, it's all good.
Braun,
you know why? Because we're going to win MLP San Clemente, and we're going to be in the finals on Monday, and we're going to win that as well. So, you know, even though you didn't make the NBA Finals, I got you. Don't worry.
Bring it home.
The Hustlers will bring it home. We will.
Really cares about.
Right? Because MLP means so much more than the NBA Finals. You know it, buddy. All right, K-Mac, any last things here for our viewers?
I'll end with a quick little story. I'll try to keep it quick, but just so I obviously commentated for the last tournament before teaching the camp. And it was a big deal because it was the first event that was going to be on Prime. So a little bit of a different audience. First couple days I thought went fine. But day 3, I wake up, I pick up Cameron. I think my voice is fine, but about 9:30, we're supposed to go on at 10. I get this frog in my throat, and I'm trying to cough, clear my throat, and it just won't go away. And I can feel how raspy my voice is sounding. So, I tried my best. I went into the woods, cleared away from everybody. I'm trying to cough it up. It just wasn't going. And for about the first 15 minutes or so on the stream, like I sounded like the smoker for the last 50 years.
Smoking a pack a day. K-Mac!
No, just chiefing away. So, no, it's tough to bring that energy or feel confident when you don't know what it's going to sound like when you open up your mouth. Luckily, the producer got me some lozenges, but, so it got tremendously better, as the day went on. But I'm realizing, like, if I'm going to keep doing this, I have to be, like, with making sure I'm as prepared as possible in the morning because you lose your voice. Like, you don't have anything left behind the mic. So, kind of funny, but I'm still learning the tricks of the trade, for that world for sure.
Love it.
Legend. Give me some lozenges, okay?
I need the lozenges.
Now you need like a little kit. You need a commentator.
K-Max kit.
Emergency kit.
K-Max kit.
No, I need to be more prepared.
And you can bring it to camp
pretty
too.
nerve-wracking, right?
Oh, there you go.
No, honestly, it would work. It would work for both because I know my voice is trash towards the end of day 2 for all the camps. So got to take care of the instrument.
You do.
Kyle.
Take care of the instrument.
Just like singers do, right?
We get to see K-Mac this weekend. We have a lake house, getting the crew together. K-Mac's bringing his kids. Craig's going to bring his kids. Got my good buddy, Lieutenant Dan from Lake Chelan that I grew up with.
We've got all our kiddos.
Yep, got all of our kids. Anyhow, should be a good weekend. The weather's going to be nice. Going to rent a boat, a couple jet skis. Shorts are coming off. Clothing's optional. It's all good. Love you, Mama. Love you, K-Mac. This is the McGuffin Show. Viewers and subscribers, appreciate you guys. Keep following the channel. For all the viewers out there that have not subscribed, subscribe. Order your pink and white Viper Pro Skechers. They are hot. I kid you not, in Atlanta, I saw about every 5th dude, maybe every 7th dude that I saw had the white and pink. Get your pair of the white and pinkies. Not only are they comfortable, but they look the part too. And some new exciting news coming up. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you later.